What act did you commit while being very aroused that you later regretted? When I was about 12 or 13, I decided to wrap my hose with duct tape. In a fit of teenage excitement, I used almost the entire roll. It ended up looking like a giant beehive. After satisfying my curiosity, I was left with a monstrously huge mess tangled with my pubic hair, and I had to get rid of it. So, I buried it under other trash in the bathroom bin. A few days later, while we were all having dinner in the kitchen, my mom asked what I did with the duct tape I had taken. My dad blurted out, maybe he wrapped his hose with it. I bought a subscription to an adult website, forgot about it, and then noticed a strange transaction on my credit card statement. I googled it and found a vague description of some company providing subscription services. I called them to ask what it was, and a pleasant young employee informed me it was a subscription to an FTV Girls Adult Collection. God, I did the same thing, except I was 18 and an idiot. I asked my mom to help me figure out what these mysterious charges were, and we called the bank on speakerphone. The only upside? I had never seen my dad laugh so hard before. I let a girl stick her finger in my backside during a blowjob, and I felt her long nail pierce my rectum. In my teenage years, I used my insanely loud electric toothbrush as a vibrator when I was aroused. I even lit candles and played some super slow music to set the mood. My parents started knocking, asking where the noise was coming from. I replied, I'm just brushing my teeth, I have a dentist appointment in 3 weeks. Also, my mom found my toothbrush under my pillow. I die inside every time I think about it. I repeatedly tried to subscribe to OnlyFans, but my bank kept declining the card due to security concerns. So, I called the bank to unblock it, and the employee reviewing the transactions got to the OnlyFans purchase attempt. She said, I constantly see purchases from this site, it must be really popular. Maybe I should check it out and buy something too. I didn't have the courage to explain to the poor naive woman what it was. I bought a plane ticket, flew to another country just to hook up with a guy I met during a vacation. The sex was mediocre, and I had to spend 2 awkward days with him. It was awkward. I put on a VR headset to watch adult content in virtual reality mode. I was wearing headphones, and I think my dad walked into the room while I was polishing the pole, but no one ever said anything about it, so I'll probably never know if it actually happened. I took a risk when I didn't have condoms. I only did it 3 times in 35 years. I went for it with a girl who had herpes. She said she was on medication and wasn't in an active phase, so the risk was lower, but there's always a chance of transmission. I did it without protection anyway and got what I deserved. Condoms don't prevent herpes transmission unless you can guarantee no skin-to-skin contact. If the person isn't in an active phase, the risk of transmission is less than 10% between partners who are sexually active for a whole year. So yeah, you were really, really unlucky, unless she was mistaken. If I had to pick just one example, it would be the time I got drunk, aroused, created an OnlyFans account, and subscribed to a hot acquaintance for $50. The next day, I wasn't happy about it. We made an offer to a couple, I was friends with the guy, and we knew they were swingers. We felt some chemistry, but they rejected us. It was super awkward. I slept with a friend and his girlfriend. We had a great time while drunk, but our friendship was never the same. I had a similar experience with a friend and her boyfriend. It felt so weird doing it, and we stopped almost immediately because of the strange feeling that overwhelmed us all. My friendship with her changed too, but in a good way, we became closer than before. I don't know how it happened, but there was no awkwardness between the 3 of us afterward. She was my first real girlfriend. I lost my virginity to her and even became a vegetarian because she was one. The day she dumped me, I grabbed my butt and raced to a fast food restaurant, where I ate 40 chicken nuggets in one sitting. While the song I Touch Myself by Divinals played in the car, the girl I was with offered to dance for me. I happily agreed. She was wearing a sundress and started moving, then began humping my gearshift, to my utter shock. She finished, then went back to her apartment. Obviously, I wasn't needed there, so I had to stay and wipe down the gearshift. Until then, I didn't even know that was a thing. One time, I was so aroused that I got the idea to insert a ping pong ball inside myself. It was extremely uncomfortable, to say the least. After an hour of trying to get it out, it finally came out. My best friend and I were sleeping in the same bed. I thought I heard her pleasuring herself with a vibrator, so I started doing it too. Since that day, I've wondered if I have schizophrenia because it sounded so real, but she definitely wasn't doing it. I still don't know if she was asleep or heard what I was doing. I hope she didn't. While working a late shift, I took off my underwear and stuck my equipment into some vibrating machine. The security guard avoided eye contact with me for a while, so I think he saw the footage. In Vegas at 3 a.m., I couldn't sleep. While I was at a slot machine, an escort approached me. We went to my room, and she asked me to shower first. When I pretended to go to the bathroom, she tried to stuff our wallets and valuables into her bag to take them. I caught her, made her return the wallet, but she threatened to go to the cops and claim I assaulted her unless I paid her $500. I was drunk and hadn't slept for hours, so I agreed to settle it that way. I'll never do that again. Cops caught me and my girlfriend twice in one night in my pickup truck. The first time, it was campus police who busted us in a tennis court parking lot while we had our hands in each other's underwear. They told us to leave, so we drove to a dead-end part of a business center. This time, a federal cop showed up because our car was shaking. He approached and said he knew what we were doing and asked for IDs. I grabbed my jeans to get my wallet, not realizing she was sitting there covering her private parts. I'm sure he saw everything. I briefly dated a girl after a long dry spell. One time, we were about to hook up, and she told me she had an IUD, great. But once, while we were fooling around, I noticed a bump on her vulva. Despite that, I still wanted to do it without a condom because of my extreme recklessness. Later that evening, she casually mentioned, as if it were a funny drunken story, that a few days earlier, she woke up at a party with her underwear off. I expressed maximum sympathy and concern that she might have been assaulted, but she didn't seem bothered by it at all. Eventually, the conversation turned to her IUD, and she said she had no idea how many sexual partners she'd had, somewhere between 40 and 50. Good Lord, I went home and scrubbed my penis with alcohol. 10 years later, I still don't have any STDs. I slept with the first girl who showed interest in me. If I had any standards, I wouldn't have done it. She faked a pregnancy for 6 months, stalked me and my friends, went to jail, got out, and then actually got pregnant and claimed she named the kid after me. It was dark, and she pushed my head down to please her. She was on her period, but I didn't know. When I finished, she refused to kiss me. I thought she didn't want to taste herself. Later, I went to the bathroom to rinse my mouth and get rid of a weird taste. I looked in the mirror and saw the Joker. I washed my face and threw up. When I went back to tell her she was on her period, I saw her underwear and tampon on the floor. I asked if she knew, and she laughed and said yes. I sent explicit photos to an older woman, and she threatened to post them online unless I sent her $1,000 in Bitcoin. I couldn't pay, so I told her I was under 18. We stopped talking, and as far as I know, she didn't post them. I learned an important lesson: don't send pictures of your host to anyone who asks. I fell in love with a guy from New Zealand I met online. We chatted on webcam for a while, and he convinced me to use my Luke Skywalker FX lightsaber as a dildo. I deeply regret it and wish I'd never met him. I threw my underwear out through an open window, and someone below saw them fall. I called a sex hotline while several relatives were visiting my parents. They were busy, so I knew I could sneak the phone and hide. All I wanted was to hear a woman's voice. I dialed, and when a voice said, "This is Pussycats Girls," I immediately panicked and hung up. I put the phone back on the charger and noticed my mom saw me take it. No big deal, I thought. Then the phone rang. All the blood drained from my body, and cold sweat broke out. My body started shaking uncontrollably from fear. I thought I was going to lose it. My mom answered, and she knew. I knew she knew. I felt like I could meet my ancestors any second. She said, "I think you've got the wrong number," hung up, looked at me, looked at the dining room full of relatives, and said, "This guy just called a sex hotline." Be sure to subscribe to our channel so you don't miss new, super interesting discussions. Become our patron via the link in the description and listen to our episodes in the background without ads or censorship. In the meantime, check out our other videos.